Hello again. Last time I gave you a question, an assignment, a diagram to write about. And in this lesson, lesson 3 of Unit 10, we will have a look at a model answer describing the process of manufacturing bricks. The question, if you remember, was write 150 words describing the process of manufacturing bricks in the following slide, and I gave you some instructions, some information about whether you can use verbs to do, let's say one verb for each step, so that it can help you when you make your sentences. And of course, I gave you some reminders that you should use the passive, you should use sequencing words. This is the diagram, if you remember from last time, and these are the steps. Now let's go to the sample writing. This is the introduction. The diagram explains. This is now a typical phrase. Now you are familiar with it. You have to mention the name of the diagram or a graph or table or whatever. And then verb. So the diagram explains. Now explains what? What is this diagram about? It is about the way in which bricks are made. You see here, are made. This is passive. Are made for the building industry. Then we said that we need to have a general idea. This is the general idea starting overall. There should be an expression here. Sorry, a phrase. Still, some students from the last two assignments, I find them not using this phrase, even though they might introduce a general idea, but they do not introduce or use a phrase like this. So overall, there are 7 stages. This is what we mentioned last time. There are 7 stages in the process, beginning with the digging up of clay and ending up with delivery. So it is clear. You can look at the diagram and see they start with digging and they finish with delivering the bricks. So this is a general idea. It's not talking about any specific step. Now let's move to the body. The body here, you see the phrase to start with here. Again, this is a typical phrase now. You can start anytime you describe a process, you can start with this one because each process has a beginning. Okay, so to begin with, what is the first step? The clay used to make the bricks is dug. And I mentioned this last time, if you remember. I told you that the verb that could be used is dig, and the past participle of dig is dug. So the passive would be is dug. So the clay is dug up from the ground by a large digger. This clay is then placed. Again, I mentioned this phrase by a verb. I told you it could be place or put. So either this or that. This clay is then, and then here we did not use it at the beginning of the sentence. We used it at the middle, and this is possible. So either you say then this clay is placed onto a metal grid and continue, or this clay is then placed onto a metal grid. It is the same. This is another way of writing it. So this clay is then placed on a metal grid, which is used to break up the clay into smaller pieces. And you can see this in the diagram. A roller assists in this process. This is not another step because it's within the same step. See, a roller. The roller, if you look at the diagram, we have a metal grid, and below that there is a roller. So it is the same step. So that's why there is no linking word, no verb, no sequencing word. I mean, okay. So a roller assists in this process. Following this is another phrase, sequencing. Following this, after that, sand and water are added. See here the verb passive, and if you look at the diagram, it is there on top of the arrow. The arrow is there. So sand and water are added to the clay, and this mixture is turned into bricks. Now here, this is another step. So here we have two steps together, if you see. That's why we have are added, and then we have is turned. So this mixture is turned into bricks by either placing it into a mold or using a wire cutter. Next, so sequencing word here. These bricks are placed, see, are placed in an oven to dry from 24 to 48 hours. This is another step. Now the following one. In the following stage, see, look at these sequencing phrases. You can learn from them. It's not only 1, 2, 3, or 5. Many you can learn. So in the following stage, the bricks go through a heating and cooling process. They are heated. See, because they are in an oven here. Okay, they are heated in a kiln at a moderate and then a high temperature ranging from 200 degrees Celsius to 1300 degrees Celsius. Followed by, I see here sequencing in another way, a cooling process in a chamber for 2 to 3 days. Finally, this is the last step. We can use finally here. The bricks are packed, see, and delivered. See here two verbs. The first one is packing and the other one is delivering. So either we consider them as one step or two steps, but put in one sentence. That's why we do not use are with delivered, because they are in the same sentence. Are packed and delivered, not and are delivered to their destinations. So this is the body and the conclusion. In sum, this is a phrase now, you know that you know this phrase and other phrases. We need to give a general idea now. The stage of drying and cooling the bricks takes most of the time. You see, he's talking about the whole time making bricks that take, and here this stage and not step only, stage. So comparing it to all, so this is a general idea, and you see the number of words here is approximately 180 words, which is acceptable.